Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 28 of the Dreams Are Real podcast. I'm Dan McPherson, and my job and the purpose of this podcast is to share inspirational stories and powerful tools that make it easier to follow your dreams. Our guest today is me. Wait, what? That's right. After 25 plus guests, for this episode, I've gone solo. It's behind the mic view and a bit shorter than our normal episodes, but it is packed with content, and I truly hope you find great value. Our first 25 plus guests have been incredible, and I'm thankful for this opportunity to share what I'm hearing as common themes from their stories, including the value of struggle and the power of light coming out of darkness and the force of resilience. And also, for the first time, to connect quotes from several of our guests that I believe embody a story of hope and provide a path to pursuing our dreams. Thank you to each of you for adding light to our journey so far and for the bright future you are helping to create. For more info about me, visit leadersmustlead.com or connect with Leaders Must Lead on your favorite social platform. To learn more about our podcast and for inspiring behind-the-scenes info, search for the Dreams Are Real podcast group on Facebook and join our growing community. And now, here's the show. Welcome to the Dreams Are Real podcast, where we aim to ignite the fire that allows you to unleash your greatest potential. I'm your host, Dan McPherson, and I'm on a mission to help you own your story on the way to building your ideal life. The first step toward achieving your dreams is to overcome the momentum of zero. Take a step and let that motion dispel the emotions of fear, worry, or self-doubt. No matter where you are in your life or your career, only you can make that choice. The good news, you've got this. Why? Because dreams are real. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to the Dreams Are Real podcast. I am your host, Dan McPherson, and today I am solo. That's right, no guest, just me. I get asked all the time, Dan, how is the podcast going? What have you learned? What patterns do you see? And today you'll have a chance to hear the answers to those questions and more. In the future, we'll do different types of solo episodes covering books or topics, but today gives me an opportunity to share with you what I've learned from the amazing guests we've had in our first 3 months and 25 plus episodes. Before we begin, I want to just pause for a moment and say thank you. Thank you for listening, for subscribing, for sharing the episodes and the podcast with your friends, for joining our Facebook community, which is now up to almost 1,200 people and growing every week, for engaging and helping us build what you are listening to each week. I am honored, I am humbled at your connection, your engagement, and your willingness to be a part of this journey. You have been inspiring to me, and I hope that sincerely that the podcast has provided inspiration for you and helped you get closer to your dreams. As we chat today, there are 3 key areas that I want to touch on. First are 5 messages that have connected with me as I've went back and re-listened to all of the podcasts and all of the amazing guests that we've had. The second are a few quotes from a number of our guests that combined together tell a story that explains very clearly to you and to me and to any who may listen why dreams are real. And then third is to start with a segment that I would hope will be a part of every solo episode going forward, which is a stand-in for our Fortunate 5, a little bit more fun piece at the end. We'll call that our community Q&A, where I answer a question from a member of the community or a couple of questions as the case may be. And then, of course, I want to let you know what's next, what's going on, what's coming up. Let's start with the 5 messages that have connected with me. Much like the quotes will, this tells a little bit of a story, but there are 5 things that have jumped out at me. And for those listening, yes, I'm systematic, but I did not pick 5. I wasn't aiming for 5. I made a list and I looked at the ones that were most powerful, and there were 5 there. I promise I wasn't just aiming for that. So the first one is a little bit of what I started with before. It's you. It's that our audience and our community are amazing. I have been blown away by the response. We posted as we were getting ready to launch the podcast, asking for feedback about the music, asking for feedback about the cover art, asking for responses to the questions we were going to be asking, and received 70, 80, 100 and more responses. Since then, we've asked for feedback about guests, and we've learned what's going on in your life. And I've seen community members connect with each other and become friends and become collaborators and get closer to their dreams because of one another. And anything that we can do together and be stronger as a team than we are as individuals is powerful, rewarding, and more than worth it. So that's lesson number one, is that community and connection matter a great deal. And I would encourage all of you guys, if you're not part of the Dreams Are Real Facebook group, join it. You'll get a lot of benefit from being there. And then take a moment and invite others to join it as well. If just a few people are invited by everyone in the group, we'll continue to grow and create an even better community for everyone. The second message that has jumped out at me is that success is everywhere. If you listen to all of these different episodes that we've recorded and you just hear the stories, even at a surface level, you get that there is success in such a diverse level of places and people. It's anywhere in the world, it's any gender, it's any sexual orientation, it's any age, it's any career. There is so much opportunity for success that all we have to do is reach out and grab it. Now, that doesn't mean that it's easy, but it is simple. It's simple because it's a decision. It's a choice. If you make that choice to step past your environment and to make a choice to move forward and reach out and grab it and know that you can grab your dreams, then you will be able to get success wherever you are. There's nothing that has to be just a hobby or just a passion. You can succeed at any of the things that you would do. It is worth remembering, and it's come up in a couple of our conversations, that if you do everything you can to help other people win, everything will take care of itself. But if you do that strategically, if you focus on others, but you do it strategically, money is the natural outflow. So if you're sitting here and you're wondering, how do I find a way to win in what I'm doing? Then find the right mentor or the right training or the right connection that allows you to do it strategically, and you will find the success that you are looking for. That idea that success is everywhere is throughout all of our episodes, and it has blown me away, whether you're talking about coaches or someone who moved from an oil rig to being a successful coach, whether it is as a Navy SEAL who then moves forward and founds different businesses, whether it is someone who grows up in the sex trade and goes on to rescue people from that and help them form high-performing businesses and beyond. There is so much success wherever you might be. Number 3, no matter how successful we are, we all struggle. That's something that has jumped out at me in a more powerful way than I thought it would through these first episodes. It's this idea that we think so often that people who have success in the world, maybe they have it easy, or maybe their path has been simple, or I have it harder than everyone else does. And as you listen to these episodes, you recognize that it just isn't true. Everyone struggles. I'm reminded of the story of the hero's journey. And the hero's journey, any hero's journey, doesn't exist without obstacles. If you don't have in a movie the bad guy to overcome, if there's not conflict to resolve, then there's no hero. That is true for our journey as well. And I would encourage you to remember that. Think about that for a bit and recognize that the struggle is good. The obstacles are what create the success. Moving through the darkness allows you to step into the light. And without that, we don't have an appreciation, and we don't have the same level of mountain that we can climb. What I like to think of this is the mindset that I don't want to wish there were no struggle. I want to wish that I am strong enough to deal with the struggle and to deal with bigger and bigger struggles to have greater and greater impact in the world. The fourth lesson that jumped out at me is that there is light through the darkness. This one is powerful and personal to me. And for probably the next 2 or 3 minutes, it's going to get just a little bit heavy. So if you need to skip forward, do that. This one matters to me a lot, and it has become prevalent as a topic in a number of the podcast episodes, which is this idea that we get to the light, but we have to go through the darkness. What am I talking about? In a series of episodes, and I won't call them out individually, but if you go back and listen, you'll hear in a series of episodes a number of guests share about their struggles with anxiety and depression and even suicide and suicide attempts. Many of you know, who have heard my story, that I have struggled in those same areas as well. My most recent and very last ever attempt was 10 years ago, and I'm incredibly grateful that it did not succeed. I have, in those last 10 years, lost probably 100 people that I am connected with, and it breaks my heart. It crushes my soul. And one of my great passions is to help leaders and to help others in the world feel comfortable speaking about mental health and not being ashamed of it, to speak about the importance of overcoming and dealing with anxiety and depression, and to do what I can to help reduce suicide, particularly teen suicide. To that end, we're going to be starting, as part of Leaders Must Lead, we're going to be starting a nonprofit that, with the specific goal of reducing teen suicide and working with schools. If any of you have a passionate interest in that, feel free to message me offline. I'm not going to share a lot more details yet. It's just not as fully formed as it needs to be. But in the first quarter of the new year, we'll be taking some significant strides forward, looking for investors and really connecting to do some good in the world on a cause that matters. There is light through the darkness. Our guests have shared that when you are younger and you're in the middle of it, or when you're older and you're in the middle of it, that it just feels hopeless. It feels like it's a loss. And I felt like that. But with the perspective of years looking back, I look at all the good that would never have happened if I weren't here. And I burn with a desire to help everyone that could possibly hear this, and so many more, to recognize that they have value in the world, incredible value. In fact, that each one of them is as water to someone dying in the desert, that you are the solution to someone else's needs, and that if you are there, you can serve that unique purpose. The fifth lesson that I've connected with, and we'll raise it back up here. I know that topic got a little bit heavy, and I apologize for that, but I think it's so important that it can't be skipped. I couldn't leave it out. The fifth is that resilience and hope are keys to success. What does this mean? This means that it's not like Sisyphus. It's not like pushing the rock up the mountain with no hope. It is that pushing forward and getting through and picking ourselves up again is important, and what give us the keys to success. We heard as the most common answer, maybe 70% of the answers to the question of what is the characteristic that will be most critical if you're going to be successful as an entrepreneur, it was resilience. It was that ability to fall down and get up. It was that ability to run from failure to failure, that ability to keep going, to find a new way, to not lose hope, to not falter, to lift ourselves up and move forward always, to take that 1 inch forward every day. This is a passion in my life. I think it's been a strength. I do feel pain. I can feel discouraged. We all do. That doesn't mean you're not resilient. It's how you respond to that feeling that makes all the difference in the world. And life is 10% what happens and 90% how we respond to it. Resilience and hope are about the response. They're about not letting the 10 control the 90. Those are 5, to me, lessons that have jumped out, or messages that have jumped out from our guests. And I'm so grateful for how openly they have shared their lives so that this can resonate with me and inspire me and push you forward. I hope that they inspire you as well. Speaking of inspiration, there are a series of quotes from several guests, 6 quotes, I believe, from 6 different guests that, when strung together, tell a particular story that is powerful. It's one of inspiration, it is one of hope, it is one of motivation, and it is one that pushes you to pursue your dreams. I think it resonates so clearly with our theme that dreams are real, that I want to share it with you. The first quote is by Chuck Colby in episode number 5. It says this: always strive to help make other people's lives better. If you can make a difference, then you should. Hear that again. Always strive to help make other people's lives better. If you can make a difference, then you should. Our story after story in the podcast, we hear that it's about other people. It's about doing everything you can in the world to help other people get better, to help them get what they need, to help take care of them. And if you do, the other things will take care of themselves. If you can make a difference, then you should. So that's part 1 of the story, is that we should focus on other people and focus on making their lives better and make a difference there. Part 2, Steph Belcher in episode number 11 says, tapping into your special gift and uncovering how it can change the world starts with accepting that the gift is there. Tapping into your special gift and uncovering how it can change the world starts with accepting that the gift is there. After we start aiming at other people, we now have to ask, how can I change the world? So many people struggle and think, I don't have anything special. I'm just average. I don't have this thing. You do. You matter. You have a special gift. You have this combination of your personality, your experiences, your understandings causes you to impact the world in a different way than anyone else can, and in a powerful way when aimed correctly. But you first have to start by accepting that you have that gift. So help others, accept that you have the gift. And then number 3 comes from Brent Basham in episode number 9. If you see someone achieving their dreams, don't put them on an unreachable pedestal. Realize that your dreams are attainable and that you can impact the world in your own unique way. So we have this focus on helping other people's lives be better. We accept that we have a gift, but now we don't want to put anyone else on a pedestal, because we want to know that our dreams are attainable. We can be like them, or we can accomplish a dream of our own that would put us on a path with them. They may be at a different spot in life. They may have a different goal. But in your case, you can impact the world in your own unique way. So if you have your unique gift and you understand it, you can now impact the world in your unique way and powerfully touch on others. Part 4, dream big and dream big sooner. Sabrina Pritchett Evans in episode 16 says, dream big and dream big sooner. Even if you miss the mark, you'll go a lot further than you could have otherwise. So what are we doing? We're making other people's lives better. We've got a gift. That gift allows us to impact the world in a unique way. And to do so, we have to dream big and dream big sooner. The sooner you dream big, the better you will be. If you don't dream big enough, then you won't see that you won't go as far as you could. But if you dream huge and you reach for that, even if you miss the mark, you're still going to go a long distance further than you otherwise would have. Part 5, Nick Sweeney in episode 12. If you want to prevail in life, you must fall down. If you're not failing, you're not doing things challenging enough. So if we're going to dream big, we also have to accept that we're actually going to fall down. And not only are we going to, we must not only be willing to fail, we must look for the point of failure so that we can run forward. That is what it will tell us that we are doing things challenging enough. Prevail in life and knowing that you will fall down. If you're not failing, you're not doing things challenging enough. So again, our story just keeps getting reinforced. We should make a difference in people's lives. We do this with our own gift, that we can impact the world in our unique way. We do it by dreaming big and by being willing to fail because we're doing things that are challenging enough. And finally, Mike Sellis in episode 26, wherever you are in life right now, always know it's okay. You're exactly where you are meant to be, simply because you're on the way to becoming your hashtag best me ever. Wherever you are in life, always know it's okay. We have all these big dreams and we're aiming for them, and we have our goals on the way and we're willing to fail. But we also have to understand and accept that wherever we are right now, it's okay. You're not on someone else's journey, and you don't have to be at your destination. You're on your journey, and you're where you're supposed to be because you're on the way. You have that forward movement of going on the journey that you're supposed to. This is the story of why dreams are real. This is how dreams are real. This is a formula given to us, strung out across a series of episodes and a series of great quotes. I hope that it resonates with you as it has with me. The messages, the story, so much power in what we've done. And then at the end of every episode, I ask people these lighter questions, the Fortunate Five. And my version of the lighter questions for our solo episodes is a community Q&A. And I posted in our group earlier, and I asked who had a question, and Eric from Grove Studios, who is one of my clients, Rick Coughlin, the CEO, will be a guest on the show soon, and they are great. They're doing wonderful work in the world of music practice spaces in Ypsilanti, Michigan, and you'll look for them as they spread around the country and world soon enough. He asks, what is my biggest fear? He also asks, what is my greatest moment so far? My biggest fear, and guys, you can, for these Q&As, you can ask me anything and I'll answer it. I tell people all the time, you can ask me any question that's both a warning and an encouragement. My biggest fear, it is disappointing others. It's not doing enough. It's not fulfilling the vision and mission that I have in the world to impact millions of others, to make a difference that has a legacy, not for me, but for the change and for the world, and helps reducing the problems, the bigger problems in the world. I am driven to do those things, and my fear is that I might not be doing enough for that, and that I might be disappointing others or not providing enough value on that path. I'm not saying that's the right fear to have. I'm telling you, that's a fear that I live with pretty consistently, and that I fight against. I fight to do more. And I guess that I use it as a motivation rather than a fear. I use it as a drive and as fuel rather than fear. And I step past it in as courageous of a way as I can to overcome my own hurdles, my own doubts, to make sure that we are helping as many people as possible. What is my greatest moment so far? Well, Eric asked this about personal and business, so I'll answer both. My greatest moment so far, I think personally, it has to do with my son. There's so many things that I can say about Bryce. I can tell you that I love him passionately. He is the center in so many ways of what I do and of my world, and I would do anything for him. I would say that the thing that is the greatest moment of that has to be that I have this open relationship with him where he, even as a teenager, is willing and excited even to share even really hard, really deep stuff with me. And I've spoken with so many parents who have tried to have that relationship and it hasn't worked. And I'm just honored that my son is comfortable enough talking with me that he can bring anything to me and know that he is safe. In a more practical, visual moment with him, I would point to the fact that he and I do martial arts together. And there's a moment that is stuck as one of the better moments of my life when he and I, after 4 years of working very hard at Taekwondo, we also studied Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but after studying for 4 years of Taekwondo, we are standing in a performance with our arms up and our fingertips touching, and I look over at him as we were getting our first degree black belts wrapped around our waist a few years ago. And that was an incredible father-son moment that I will never forget. I love martial arts in many ways, and that moment was certainly a pinnacle with him. From a business perspective, my answer to this question involves taking two separate steps. One is a step off of a cliff, and the other is a step onto the stage. The step off of the cliff was how I started Leaders Must Lead, and the step onto the stage resulted in this podcast. The step off of the cliff was me leaving the company and the employer that I had to start this company. Let me give you just a little bit of background. I had been working in the corporate world and in sales for quite some time, and I'd moved from position to position and job to job. And I loved helping people. I loved engaging with people, but I never felt satisfied. I never felt content. I never felt like I was fully fulfilling my mission. I knew that I was preparing, but I didn't really know what for. And at some point, I got to this spot where I recognized that I either had to do it or accept that I wasn't going to do it. And there's nothing in me that accepts that I'm not going to do it. So I had to figure out, how do I go and do this bigger thing? I made a plan. It took some time because at first I was ready to just run right out there. And fortunately, my coaches told me to take a breath. I did put together a plan. And at the point that I was offered my next promotion, I sat back, looked at it and said, what would it look like if I declined? I resigned and moved on my way to start Leaders Must Lead, and to start it from scratch, from zero. It was a scary step off of a huge cliff where I had to build an airplane on the way down. And I would say that in many ways, that was my greatest moment, because it was me overcoming this huge fear and stepping past the momentum of zero into what felt like almost terminal velocity on the way down, to be able to do what I believed was right in the world. The second half of that answer is the step on stage. And that's just from earlier this year. I was very fortunate, thanks to being introduced through a couple of past podcast guests, the guys at Dogmite Games and Dan Zahner. I was introduced to another friend, Ricky Shetty, and Ricky invited me to Asia. I went to the Philippines, met with him for a few days, fell in love with the Filipino people, who are so welcoming and wonderful and have such a great culture. And after falling in love there, I wanted to go back, and an opportunity came up to go back for a group called Freedom Summit Global, and to travel and speak with that group. One of our guests, Fabio, is involved with that group, and you can certainly Google that. You'll find some really great things about it, including their upcoming events in the new year. And I was able to go and travel through 5 countries in Southeast Asia and to step on stage. And I've stepped on dozens, if not hundreds of stages. I love it. It's something that always energizes me. But having a moment to do this on the other side of the world for different cultures, and to share about the idea that dreams are real. My topic was Dreams Are Real, Overcoming Your Own Objections to Create the Life You Want, was powerful. It wasn't powerful from anything that I was saying. It was powerful from the reactions that I saw from the audience, that I saw that this message that we should chase our dreams, this message that we should overcome our internal voices, our internal heralds, and tell them to shut up, this message that with a few small changes in our life and our mindset, that we truly can accomplish the biggest dreams we have in life. Seeing people in the audiences affected and impacted by that, and engaging with it, and seeing that those moments could change their lives. Seeing my fellow speakers, there were 50 of us in Manila, and there were 15 of us in these other countries, speak and share and see an audience impacted so powerfully, life by life. Those moments That moment, stepping on stage in the Philippines or in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and looking out at hundreds of people and seeing that engagement and that passion and those glistening eyes and those changed lives, that was the greatest moment. Why? Because it's the steps towards the ultimate goal of being able to create true generational change in the world and solve and reduce the bigger problems of the world. And I mentioned before that that is where the idea, the kernel of the idea for this podcast came from. For a couple of years, I had been encouraged, Dan, do a podcast, but I don't want to do anything if I don't understand what the need is, if I'm not confident that we can provide incredible value and we can do something that we're going to do well, and that there will be able to be a community or a connection with, because people matter most. When I was traveling through Asia and on these stages and talking to people, I recognized that there was a need. There was a need for inspiration, but not just at a surface level, at a deep level, for a podcast that would ask deeper questions and get into people's backgrounds and get into the hurdles they've overcome and the dreams they had and what it is that allowed them to chase their dreams, that would share these moments of inspiration and these lifetimes of inspiration in these incredible stories, that would provide tools that would inspire people and that would build up a community that was inspired and was inspiring. And when I came back from Asia, I knew that this had to happen. And a couple months later, we were fortunate to begin the podcast, thanks to you guys. So my greatest moment has resulted in this. And for that, I thank you. Upcoming, we have a lot of amazing guests. We have our growing community that you are helping to shape, and we are going to be taking the next steps as a group towards our dreams and our purpose. We're going to do that with the inspiration of others, and we're going to do that with the motivation and connection and resilience of ourselves. As we end, I once again want to say thank you. You have, in a few short months, changed my life. You have inspired me. You have humbled me. I am honored to play a role in part of your weekly listening and to be a conduit for the great stories of our incredible guests. I am thrilled that our guests are excited to come and share their stories, and that we can make these connections that only happen in a community that is built on love and dreams. As I leave you for now, I just say, dreams are real. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on the Dreams Are Real podcast. If anything we've said has inspired you to dream bigger, live more boldly, or move closer to your ideal life, please reach out and let us know, and also be sure to share this episode with a friend. We would be honored if you would like, subscribe, and leave a review for our show on your favorite podcasting platform. And for more discussion of this episode and all things related to the Dreams Are Real podcast, and to receive your free download of Dan's Defining Your North Star training, please join our Dreams Are Real community on Facebook. Until next time, be amazing and keep crushing it.